My name's Caroline and I'm the Bed and Biscuit dog groomer. I just want to do a quick tutorial on how to maintain a dog's coat at any kind of length. This is Gatsby. He's an Aussie Doodle. He's an Australian Shepherd Doodle mix. And he hasn't had any bath or anything. I haven't started combing, brushing, anything, so this is kind of going to be what you guys see when I first see a dog come in here, and also a little more realistic on what condition your dogs will be at home when you guys do a brush out. We see dogs that come in matted, and sometimes it's just that the dog goes out into the water, gets baths at home, and isn't getting a proper brush out, whether it's because of behavioral issues or just because there isn't enough education out there on how to maintain dogs' coats anymore. So what I'd like to do is just kind of do basic, kind of show you guys what we look for when we see a dog come in, because we love keeping dogs big and fluffy if we're able to, and we know you guys want your dogs big and fluffy if you're able to. So when we look at a dog, first of all, we're kind of looking at areas where hair is longer, where we are usually asked to leave it longer, such as ears and tails. This guy has no tail back here, he's docked. So when we're looking at ears, we're looking to see if there's any hard mats. Usually behind the ears we see some matting, like right here. You can kind of see there's a little knot there. And that would be something that, might blow out after his bath, after a good conditioning. It's not something that's a big worry right now. Looking at the tips of his ears, if you flip over his ears, you can see that his hair is reasonably free. If you start with the comb, you can kind of like pick it out. Nothing too serious, doesn't seem to stress out the dog, and so that's a good indication that the dog's hair is in pretty good condition. It's dirty, but it's not, matted. Same on the other side, kind of flip it over, take a look at the ears. Look behind the ears, see if there's any matting there. Nothing serious again, this dog's in pretty good condition. A little bit of a snarl here, and if you see, when I put my comb through it, it doesn't want to give, it doesn't want to release. And that's when we start saying, that's a groomer's job. Don't try to demat, don't shave it out, don't do anything with it, leave it for us to deal with. Just maintain the hair around it so that it doesn't get worse. I know a lot of people like to start with the neck and the body, but actually there's a lot more that we can do with this area as far as dematting or saving your dog's coat than there is on the legs. And so what I say is start with the legs. And when you start doing your brush out, your comb out, start with a brush. What this does is kind of breaks up the hair that's on the very top. Yes, good boy, Gatsby. Yes, good boy. And you can kind of see it's already started to break apart and get a little fluffier. And just do it in little short wisps like this. You don't want to do, great big long motions. You want to go nice and easy, just until you kind of know what you're dealing with. So after you kind of break up the top hair a little bit, you want to go back through with the comb. This is how we double check dogs' hair condition. Come here, big guy. Good boy. And so you can see there's a little bit of resistance putting the comb through, but nothing major, right? It's not just stopping in its tracks. You can kind of see this dog has a little bit of coat that's been compacted and pushed down and is kind of getting a little bit snarly, but it's starting to free up. And this is why, there's kind of some controversy about doodles and if they shed or they don't shed, because going through this hair, you can see that there's hair coming out. You can see that there's hair that is not being ripped out, but it's definitely coming free from the rest of the hair. And so he might not be a heavy shedding dog, but there's definitely the hair that needs to be released from the rest of his coat. And so his legs look like they're in pretty good condition. We'll just do one front leg. And again, if you're running into any areas where you're finding any major resistance, leave it and just comb out everything around it. Because we can do a lot to blend in a small little shave out area or to demat it ourselves, but if it's a big area, there's nothing we can do. All right, good boy. And so I'll do kind of the back end here. Kind of the same thing, just do small little motions for brushing, just until you kind of know what you're dealing with. The back of the legs tend to, the back of the foot here, right around the hock, tends to be pretty matted. That's the area that sometimes we shave a little closer anyways, just because of how much surface area kind of touches the ground when they sit or when they lay down. But you can kind of see here, just short little motions, a little bit at a time. If you have a dog that has any kind of like behavioral issues with brushing, don't force them to brush out. There are some steps, and if it's something you guys want a consultation on to try and train your dogs into tolerating their brush outs a little better, I would love to talk to you guys about it. I think it's really important to be able to groom your dog. I think it's a great way to bond with your dog. And you know, the better condition you can keep them in, the better their health is going to be, honestly. They're a lot less likely to have skin infections. They're going to regulate their temperature better. They're going to be able to release water out of their hair better. So there's a lot of reasons to keep doing it. And so you can see here too, we're just kind of gently going through. Nothing's really pulling, sticking. If I were to like put my comb through and it would stop immediately, like that would be an indication that there's a mat there, and to just stop and let the groomer deal with it. Kind of go around it. You can kind of pick a little bit, depending on what your tolerance is. Gatsby is really tolerant, and so he'll let me kind of do whatever needs to get done as far as his comb out and his brush out. He's a good boy. Yes, good boy. Okay, so I just want to show you a front and back leg, just so you can kind of see the process of how to kind of go through it. Yes, it's a good boy, Gatsby. Yes. All right. The next area that I would do is belly and chest, and you can kind of just do that just very gently, kind of like start kind of in the chest area, right near the armpit, go around the side. Nice little tiny movements. You don't want to do too much at one time, because that's when the hair starts pulling, and that's when it starts becoming really uncomfortable for dogs. They kind of start going, quit pulling on my skin, I just want to stand here and enjoy this with you. So just nice and easy, short little movements. And make sure you always flow into the next thing that you're doing, just to kind of open it up a little bit. And a little bit of resistance there, no matting, just a little bit of resistance. Yeah. But his coat is dirty too. This isn't a clean coat, and so there should be a little bit of resistance. There's oil and dirt and, you know, all kinds of stuff that's kind of stuck in their hair. And these dogs spend a lot of time outside. They're true outdoorsy dogs, so they do lots of stuff. And so their coat are going to be a little bit dirty, a little bit, you know, a little bit harder to get a comb through, but still no mats. Feeling nice and clean. Nice and clean, yes. This area right here, we call it the tuck. This area tends to sometimes get some matting. It also tends to get a lot of compacted hair, so if you have breeds like a Husky or German Shepherd, lots of compacted hair tends to get here. I think a lot of times it's just because of how they sit, where their legs come up next to their side here, and it causes a lot of compaction right here. So if you're working on a breed like a German Shepherd or a Husky, it's a really good idea to just give that area a little bit more attention, and then just slowly pick it out. Good boy, Gatsby, yes. Good boy. So, after you've kind of, like, I'm not going to do the other side of the dog. I think that's a little overkill to show you guys what to, expect and what to look for. So front legs, belly, chest are kind of done. Back leg is done. So now we're going to kind of work around the head and neck area. All right, so I kind of showed you ears. I personally like to do comb outs of ears while they're in their bath, just because when you get some conditioner in there, you can do a little bit more work as far as like, picking out hair, making it lay flat and things like that. But as long as you're doing kind of the general, just kind of going over, doing a nice, easy comb out, brush out on their ears, everything should be pretty nice for the most part. Doing the head, you just want to be careful, especially around their eyes. If dogs aren't really enjoying something, they tend to, pull their head away, and so you don't want to catch them in the eyes with your comb or your brush. He has really nice hair on his head. He gets lots of pets and lots of loves, and you can kind of tell. Yes, because his hair is nice and free. It's good condition. Yes, good boy. Good boy, Gatsby. Good boy. Mm-hmm. Okay. So faces are kind of where, people tend to struggle a lot too. Not every dog is conditioned to be able to, comb out their face or do a whole lot of work with their face. Some of it is just that they're not expected to do that kind of stuff at home. Some of it is just that, I don't want people in my face either. I get it. Another issue is just because there's lots of food matting, especially dogs that have mustaches like this. They get food in there, and so if you don't soften it up with a bath, a lot of times it just becomes matted. This is why I recommend doing facials for dogs that have hair like this. It helps to soften up any of the built up eye boogies in front of their eyes, and also just helps soften up any food matting. And so once you get those particles out, all of this dirty kind of compacted hair becomes a lot easier to deal with. And so if you're going to be doing this at home, just start out real slow. Make sure your dog knows that, you know, you don't have to commit to this. This is something we can deal with here. You know, but if you're able to do it, you should. Use just a comb at first. Some dogs will tolerate brushes around their face, but they're kind of bigger and a little clunkier, and so not every dog tolerates it. But just kind of start kind of towards the end and kind of work up closer to the eye and then go across the nose. And he's got some food matting, so I'm not gonna pull too hard because we're gonna give him a bath and get all that stuff taken out of there, and he'll be a lot easier to manage and get that stuff done. So now we're gonna kind of look at the neck. Necks tend to have a lot of matting just because people tend to leave their collars on them or bandanas, harnesses, things like that. And so it's really important to spend a little bit of extra time, especially if you have a dog that wears its collar regularly, or you take him on lots of walks, or you know, he gets wet with his collar on. All of those things contribute to matting around their neck. And so I recommend just kind of starting at the bottom and just kind of working your way up. And right now all I'm doing is picking to see if he has any mats, and his hair looks pretty nice. So the next step we're gonna do is just take our brush. Good boy, Gatsby. And we're gonna kind of do the same motion. It's kind of just picking apart the hair, freeing it up. It allows, you know, dirt and air and stuff to get in there a lot better. And so it's just, you know, nice short movements, free up the hair. You'll see that he's immediately a lot more fluffy. There's a huge difference between right here where I've just worked him and right here where it's still very clumpy. And so that's kind of the look that you're going for when you do a brush out. I know we all love our spiral waves in our dog's hair, but as far as their health, it's a lot better for them to get a good brush out and get all fluffy for a couple hours. Okay, so he's got pretty good hair around his neck, even looking down here on the bottom. He's very, very free, doesn't have any major issues, any intolerance, and his, no mats or anything, so that's in good condition. Yeah, you passed the test, Gatsby. Yeah, that's a good boy. Come here, buddy. Okay, so after you've kind of dealt with the hot spot areas, face and ears, legs, and belly, then we kind of want to start working on this area. And I know a lot of people kind of like to start right here and work their way back, but honestly, I think it's better to work from back here and work your way forward. And how we're going to kind of do that is kind of push his hair this way a little bit, and then you're going to start down here and just kind of use your brush, nice short motions. You can tell already how fluffy he's getting, and that's just, you know, that's really how they're supposed to look. After he gets a good bath and a good blowout, he'll really be a fluffy dog. So now we can kind of see we haven't seen any mats, no real dirt buildup or filth in there, and so we can kind of go back through with a comb. When you use the comb, make sure you're going all the way down to the skin and just gently pulling through. You don't want to, you don't want to be sitting there, pulling. A little bit of resistance is normal. If they haven't had their hair combed out in a while, a little bit of resistance is fine. It shouldn't be anything that's causing your dog to look back at you or to feel like, something hurts or is painful. And as you can see, he's very relaxed. He's tolerating everything that I'm doing, which probably shows that he gets a lot more, brush outs and attention than, most dogs do. He's a good boy. Okay, so we're seeing nice, good hair. After you kind of have a good idea of how combed out it is, then you can start doing long brushes through, just like this. Yes. Good boy. See how nice and free all that hair is now? Yes, good boy. Good boy. And just remember, it's kind of the same process everywhere you go through it. Start with slow motions, little tiny motions towards the beginning. Kind of pick it out just a little bit. It's okay for there to be a little bit of resistance, especially if it's a dog that, has some dirt or oil, stuff like that. That's totally normal. Dogs should have a nice, healthy amount of oil, but, either, brushing or just their environment, sometimes they can get a buildup of oil. So it's okay for them to be a little bit greasy. There. So you can already see how much his hair is freed up. It's nice and fluffy. And that's kind of what you want to see when you're done doing your brush out, especially on a dog like this. If you have any questions, or if you need me to repeat anything, or if you need a consult, or if you just want me to teach you how to brush out your dog, I would be more than happy to do that with you. I think it's really important. I know that I get a lot of satisfaction from grooming my own dogs, and I think it's really important for other people to be able to do it too. Also, once you start kind of like working with your dog's coat, it's a lot easier to communicate with your groomer about what his needs are. And so with that, I hope you guys stay healthy, I hope you stay well, and you stay safe. And if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. You can call here at the Fenton Biscuit Ranch and leave a message for me, or if you want to contact me directly through Facebook or through my email, I'm super happy to talk to you guys about that. So you guys have a good day, okay?